Hey guys, thank you for joining us here on Nerds from the Crypt. Before the beginning of the episode, I just wanted to come in and let you know what's going on. Some of you know the podcast switched over from another host to a new one, and I am slowly moving those podcast episodes over. Unfortunately, I'm not able to actually put them in order as they were officially part of the podcast, but I will put them as I feel necessary, I guess, or I'll put them in order as I feel that they need to go out. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast, and you can continue looking for us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app, and let us know what you guys think. Subscribe and comment, and you'll be able to help us be more visible to other listeners. Thank you guys very much.
I'm here because I can't live with what I know anymore. Listen, this may sound a little bit crazy, but I know who the goddamn killer is.
Wake up, I've got something to tell you.
What's wrong?
There are demons among us. The angel told me that God would be sending weapons.
Maybe you just dreamed it. Maybe you're not right in the head.
God will be sending a list of the first 7 demons.
These are people's names.
And they'll look like people. But they're not.
Dad made up this whole thing. Do you understand?
Well, if it has to be done, it has to be done.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us on Nerds from the Crypt, episode 3. We are apologizing for the brief, vacation that we took before this episode came out. But we wanted to go ahead and get right back at you. And today we'll be discussing 2001's Frailty, starring Bill Paxton and Matthew McConaughey. So I'd like to go ahead and introduce myself. I am Perspective, aka Nerds FTC, and with me, like always, is my co-host Nick. Nick, how are you doing today?
We're back.
After a couple of months.
Yeah. Well, we sort of had a break and did nothing really this summer. So
yeah. And we do have a new a guest host for now, unless she accepts later on to keep coming back. And I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
Thanks. Hey, this is Shell, and I'm really happy to be here with Saw and Nick. And I'm a movie buff, and especially horror movies, and this happens to be one of my favorites. But I'm definitely a nerd, and I'm definitely from a crypt somewhere. So.
So, when did you start your love for the horror movies?
Actually, I started watching horror movies when I was like 9 years old. I started with reading Stephen King at a very young age, and moved on into just all kinds of scary books, and then I grew up during the era of Friday the 13th and all of that, and just kind of got obsessed with all of the slasher movies and Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street and all those movies, and just kind of took a love for it. Adrenaline rush.
That's really funny, because that's basically mine and Saul's origins as well, you know?
Yeah.
Start off early.
Yeah, start off early, Stephen King, mostly. My mom was a big fan, so she already had a few books. And then I found out that at the library, they'd allow me to, just take out those books when I was 9 or 10 years old. So I read, like, a lot of those, like, really old horror stories. Like, I read the original, what's it called, Dracula. And, Frankenstein. And yeah, that's sort of how I got into it as well. Just like you. Yeah.
Which, by the way, we might be getting it is actually something that's happening, is a cinematic, what's it called, universe of the old monsters. Hopefully it's good, but I'm not gonna give my give my hopes up or anything like that. So
that's gonna be one of those event movies. That's gonna be like, the Avengers, but with Frankenstein and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, don't get your hopes up for it being a horror movie.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it comes out. It's probably gonna be more in the line of The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. Although I did like the first two.
I love those movies.
They're so cheesy, but I love them.
Too.
But
yeah, cheesy good.
But they're not horror. They're more.
They're adventure movies.
Yeah.
Like, especially the first two.
Mm-hmm.
Because the third one's horrible.
Yeah.
But the first two were really good. And Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, I love them too. And hopefully we'll get a better version, not a crappier version that's coming. But we'll see. So yeah, let's get on with the actual review of this week's movie, or this episode's movie. Like I said, we're looking into 2001 Frailty. It is directed, and is actually his first movie he ever directed, by Bill Paxton, and co-starring Matthew McConaughey. So I'm just wanted to go ahead and. I'm sorry.
I said all right.
That's what I was saying that in my head, Nick. That's hilarious.
And
I don't
he actually
really have that barrier, so it just comes out.
He actually.
Yeah, I know.
He actually lives about an hour and a half from where I live.
Oh shoot, I'm definitely coming with my husband out there then. Yeah, that'll be great.
So I wanted to just read a little plot summary from IMDb. I'd say that backwards, IMDb. And it's just one of these plot summaries that one of the, I guess, users wrote out, and it's just real short here. It's a man confesses to an FBI agent his family's story of how his religious fanatic father's visions led to a series of murders to destroy supposed demons. So I remember seeing the trailer for this movie, and actually my brother is the one that pointed it out to me because he knows how much I love Stephen King, and it had the word Stephen King in the trailer. So he thought it was actually written by him, but it ended up being like he was actually giving the thumbs up to the movie.
Yes.
And I remember seeing the trailer. I'm like, oh, I gotta see that one. I have to see that one. How did you hear about this movie? Because I've from what I've heard or what I've been able to realize is that not a lot of people know about this movie.
No, I heard it from you. You told me to watch this for the review.
Yeah.
I do have to say though, Stephen King endorsing the movie, it is a very Stephen King-ish story, except for a couple of things.
I agree.
Like, I don't know if you've ever read Lizzie's story, the Stephen King book, but it almost sort of has the same kind of story, except it just takes it one step further, where the dad doesn't really have visions. He just sort of teleports into this alternate dimension full of monsters and things and scary forests.
Oh well, I have not read that one, but I've heard it's really good.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive into the movie itself. So there's not a lot of characters in this movie that we get names for. Not even one of the main characters doesn't get a name. But we'll talk about them as we go on. We start off with one of the characters named Fenton, and he is actually talking to an FBI agent saying that he knows who the God's Hand serial killer is because it is his brother. The FBI agent does not really believe him, so Fenton starts to go back and do tell his story of how when he was young, he lived with his brother and his father, and they lived pretty normal life. And this is where it's like I said, very Stephen King, because of the starting off older, going back to how it was back in the day. So I do get what you're saying when it says it's very Stephen King-ish.
Yeah, very flashback. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So any thing to talk about in this little intro?
No, I mean, Powers Booth plays the FBI agent. He is at first like very hesitant to believe him because guy comes in and says, "Yeah, my brother's this serial killer you guys been hunting down for ages," Yeah,
and just out of nowhere.
He's like, yeah. He even says the line like, crazy people walk in here all the time saying this and this guy is the killer. But like, he's very sincere, which is, Matthew McConaughey is a brilliant actor, so he can pull it off. Being just very sincere about, trying to tell him this story. And that's why he believes him, I think.
Yeah. One thing I will say about this movie is it's one of those movies that you need to see more than once to gain every nuance of the movie. Every time I've seen it, I've picked up something different, even from the beginning.
Yeah.
I think that Powers Booth, as detective or the FBI agent Doyle, I think he did like a really good job in the beginning of the movie. I mean, the acting is phenomenal with him and McConaughey. I think, the play off of each other and not knowing what's coming as far as twists. The first time I saw it, it kind of blew my mind. But I have found something different in it each time.
Yeah,
So,
and there is something that happens at the very beginning when they first meet that I don't want to bring up now because it's going to come back later.
Yeah.
But we'll get into it. So we get this kind of I kind of say it's like an idealistic family, even though their mother's not there. I believe she died a couple years before, but they're happy family. Papa Meeks, Fenton, and Adam, who are the kids, and he even says it's kind of just your normal, bring up. They're happy even though they don't have their mom. Their dad's doing a very good job at bringing them up. When all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, we get Papa Meeks, who is played by Bill Paxton, and he just comes in all of a sudden and says that he's got a vision. And the vision itself is that he and his sons have been chosen to destroy demons that are living on Earth for the end times, right? And only they, along with other people who've been granted this power, will be able to actually see the demons for who they are, and they must destroy them. We are shown how Papa Meeks gets these visions, and it looks very, very doubtful that what he's doing, right? I believe it's the trophy with the little angel on top where he sees like a light shining on it, and then all of a sudden he's
Right.
like, oh, I got this vision.
You're like, is he crazy? Is he hearing voices? Or yeah, because the way they show it, you're thinking, is he hearing voices and he's thinking this? Is he crazy? Is he schizophrenic? Like, what's going on? Because it doesn't make any sense when you're watching it. Like you said, the light shining on the trophy, and he says he sees an angel. It's just.
And it's a very human response normally. Like,
right.
For this family, they probably just got over the tragedy that their mom was lost, and a guy loses it and it thinks he's talking to God or talking to angels. That's not just a story or a movie. Those things have happened in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Many, many times. And so at first you're thinking, this guy is just sort of, internalizing all his pain and whatnot and just came to a breaking point. And now he's talking to his kids about, killing people that are really demons. And
the thing is that the way he says he's gonna do this is that he's gonna get names, a list of names, and the first time he brings up the list of names, Fenton is like, Dad, these are names of people, and he's like, oh yeah, they're gonna look like people, don't worry about that, but they're really demons. And I mean, what are you? Just think of it, just growing up with all of a sudden hearing we're gonna kill demons that look like people. And we are not even gonna know why we're sent to kill them until we actually have them.
My one of my favorite parts is before that is where he's like the vision tells him that he's gonna get 3 special weapons.
Yes.
And then like one day he's driving, and all of a sudden like the sun sort of breaks through a cloud into this barn, and there's the axe.
That creeps me out. Yeah.
And I mean, he stole that axe, right?
Yeah, he did.
Just ran, and a pair of gloves. And that's the thing is like, he brings his kids these weapons, and he's like, God has given me these weapons, and it is an axe and a pair of gloves, and Fenton is like, it's just an axe and a pair of gloves. So what
Right.
What the hell's wrong with you?
That made me. I'm Fenton. I'm like, what is wrong with you, dude?
I have a really small theory that I'm sure you guys will appreciate. I think the real name of his dad is Otis.
Yeah, because they named the weapon.
The axe says Otis on it.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. There's been a couple of people of speculations out there, and I'm trying to remember what someone said Otis stand for, but it was something like I'll have to look it up and probably if I can find it around here, I'll bring it up again. But there is a couple of theories as to what it means, and maybe Otis is a family heirloom.
Well, I think it's his name. Like he is
name.
going to get a weapon, and that weapon has his name on it. Like,
okay.
There's no more coincidence for him at that point, you know?
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
So that's why I think that's why he just picked it up and went just completely with it.
Now, did the Vision say he was going to get three weapons or just several weapons?
No, it said 3 weapons, and it's 2 gloves and 1 axe.
Oh, okay. I was looking at the gloves as one weapon.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought maybe the other one was a pencil.
And I was thinking, like, what? The kids put one on each and then punch with it and do, like, super punches? Is this going to be a really fun movie? But no.
I was thinking, like, the pencil or the pen he was writing with was going to be the other weapon. So, yeah. So, we have 2 different ways of dealing with this. We have Adam, who pretty much right from the beginning starts believing what his dad's saying, and we got Fenton, who is just like telling him, like, your dad's crazy. And these kids, I don't think they're the best child actors, but they actually play off each other pretty well, for me at least. To sell that they're actually brothers.
Oh yeah, that definitely. Like the scene at the start where they're walking home from school.
Yeah.
That's just a very believable. So I mean, I used to walk home from school with my little sister because we went to the same school, and that was exactly it. Like just running, talking shit, and then going home.
Yeah.
That was it.
What I'll tell you what really struck me, Nick, also on that when they were walking, is the singing of the song. The religious fanaticism, like within their family, and you can tell they're like super religious. Mm-hmm. And the one brother singing, I've got the joy, joy, joy down in my heart, and like he's just singing away. And then the other one, and then Fenton's just kind of like not really playing along.
He doesn't like that type of. He doesn't really like that type of song.
You see the difference in them. You can see one of them's like totally all in it. He's in it for the fanaticism, and the other one's just kind of. It kind of shows him being skeptical.
Yes.
It is actually, yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, that is actually
a
one
deep-rooted, like it's like an old deep-rooted children's song from kind of like I don't even know what to compare it to, but yeah, it's from like Christian summer camps and stuff.
Yeah, and that's one thing that because I did it's a while back actually. I was looking up scenes from the movie, like you know how on YouTube sometimes I'll have some of these stories of how they did some of these things, and I ended up actually coming across a video of I forgot his name. It was Christian something. He's a reviewer of pretty much Christian stuff, but he actually reviewed this movie, and he said and he thought he was not gonna like it based on what he heard about it, but he actually didn't mind it, especially because it doesn't actually say that their religion is Christian. It just kind of just comes out implies it,
yep.
But it doesn't actually say that that's what it is. So he goes, I didn't really mind it so much.
Right.
The Archangel Michael shows up.
Yeah, but
Yep.
Archangel Michael is in a couple of different religions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true,
well,
true.
I agree.
Catholicism and yeah, but
So-
I thought it was really intriguing that it started off that way, like you said, with the relationship with the brother. So you kind of see the difference in them right there. Like
Yeah.
the second time I watched it, I noticed it really hard. I was like, you see the difference right there.
And I'll bring up another interaction a little bit here between them that I each time I see the movie I actually bust out laughing because I just think it's real and it's just really funny. And I'll bring it up in a little bit here.
Okay. Yeah.
Now I'm excited.
Okay, so we see that Fenton starts to think that it's just a phase that their father goes through because a couple of weeks pass by and nothing happens and that he doesn't even come through with any type of list or anything. All of a sudden his dad arrives and tells him, "I got a list." And this is where Fenton is like, "These are names of people, Dad. What are you talking about?" And they're like, no, yeah, they're gonna look like people. And then he explains to them how he got this list. And he's working at a auto shop, and there's just like these sparks everywhere from people welding. And all of a sudden, the angel comes down, and it's within the flames. So we once again we're like, yeah, that's just he's seeing things. He's seeing things in normal day occurrences that normally, like if we were to see it, we wouldn't think anything else of it.
Yeah, this is the one with Michael in it. This is
Yeah.
the one. He's under a car or something,
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, like the bottom of the car sort of
flies
like
up.
it zooms out, and it's the Sistine Chapel.
Yeah.
And Michael comes down with the flaming sword, and that's it. That's all you see of it. But it's like the reality sort of warps, and he sees like this figure. So yeah.
So I mean, Fenton is like that's what gave you the list, really? That's what.
I know, really.
So
Fenton, always the skeptic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Skeptic.
So we get Papa Meeks coming all of a sudden with the first demon that he's supposed to kill, and it's a nurse, I believe, or is she just dressed up as a nurse?
I don't even know if she's dressed
No,
up
I think
as a nurse. It's
I
just
don't.
a woman.
I believe. Yeah, I think she works as a nurse. But she's, he's obviously got her on the list as a demon,
Yeah.
and that's her profession. But,
So yeah,
when
we
he
don't.
touches her, you're like, is he crazy or is she really a bad person?
Yeah, because when he touches her, he kind of looks like he's really overselling it. He kind of just like I mean, Bill Paxton has some over the top performances, I think.
Yeah.
But and this is one part of it, and I believe it's intentional. But it is he kind of just touches her and he kind of just like moans and groans, and all of a sudden he kind of like, oh my god, like you stupid lady.
Yeah, he touches her and goes, "Game over, man, game over."
Yep.
I
And
So-
I think the fact that we see the axe from the beginning when he finds it to him, the first using it on his first so-called demon. I think Bill Paxton even said that he wanted it to be labeled with a name because he wanted it later in the movie, as it's picked up by someone else, to be known that was a family heirloom basically being passed down.
Mm-hmm.
Holy weapon, if you will. And so that was kind of Paxton's description of Otis.
Oh,
But yeah, so it's kind of creepy when you go back and watch it and you think where it came from and then how they start to use it and then where it ends up in the film. It's almost its own character.
oh yeah, definitely.
So is there another kill that happens before the next thing where Fenton goes to look for help?
Actually, yeah,
Yeah, the old man.
Yeah.
the old man. And
Yeah,
then also he ends up having to dig the pit, before.
That's true. Yeah. And what happens is that they actually end up finding an older man, and Fenton actually ends up playing the kid who's lost his puppy underneath the car or something. And the man comes to help, and Papa Meeks comes and kind of just takes him away, which is very weird because that was out in the middle of the sun of daylight.
Yeah, well, he has. He says like, God is gonna turn their eyes from us, or gonna shield us from their vision or something.
And that really comes into play later in the movie, also, when, not with the spoiler ending, but it really comes into play later when he tells them that you're thinking he's nuts, and then later in the movie you wonder, because if there's cameras, if there's evidence, that this kid's thinking, Fenton's thinking, well, they can see us, and he's like, no, we're going to be protected. It doesn't matter. We're going to be protected.
Yeah, and that's his whole thing about not even disguising himself, or not even going and putting a mask on or anything. Just
right.
They're going to do it when they're going to do it, and that's it.
Yeah. So they drag the guy back to the thing, and then he touches him again, and they kill him. And horribly.
Yeah. So this is where Fenton starts to kind of rebel against his father, and he gets in trouble because he's not a believer, and he gets the punishment comes around is that he has to build this or dig this hole on the ground, and he is he's out there for quite a while because he's not allowed to eat, but just no, wait. Am I getting ahead of myself? Yes, I'm getting ahead of myself. So he's building this kind of root cellar that they're building, and he goes, I know it's not going to be a root cellar, but that's what Dad called it. And this is where I'm talking about.
Dig this pit. What is it? 10 feet by 10 feet.
Yeah, something like
10
that.
feet deep.
And 10 feet deep.
So I was reading about Bill Paxton's doing this scene here, and he said that they couldn't build that hole deep enough because it would collapse on itself. So it wasn't actually as deep as it looked, and he was actually on his knees when he was down there to make it look deeper than it really is.
Oh wow!
Yeah, you'd have to fortify the walls because 3 deep will just collapse. It's just sand.
So this is the part where I was telling you that we get another interaction with the brothers, and I always bust out laughing. Is when Adam comes and tells him, "Hey Fenton, I have this." He brings him food or water, or he wants to help him. I forgot what it is. He wants to help him out, and he's like, "Get away!" He's like, "I don't want your help." And I think he tells him twice, and then Adam takes off running. You butthole! He just takes off running. I can actually see that if I were to do it to my brother, he would like, "Oh, you bastard!"
That's typical brother stuff.
So that little line always makes me laugh, no matter how many times I've seen that movie.
Yeah.
Anything you guys want to bring up on the cellar part or anything like that?
Well, basically, the only thing that you left out was that he is forced to dig it, but his dad will not force him to dig it if he prays to God.
Yes.
It's like, you will find your faith, you will pray to God, or you will dig this pit. And then he's just every time you hear him, I went back out there to dig, but still I didn't pray. So you see this little a few days I think even go by with him digging the pit, and every day it ends with, but I didn't pray to God.
Yeah, I can say if he is seeing all that his dad's doing and he's not believing him, why would he do what he's being asked? So I think it's being real rebellious. We'll see a little bit later on what happens, but I can see. I think that added dialogue but I didn't pray. Is very telling and foreshadowing.
It really was. Yep. I want to just touch something real quick. We were talking about the weapons. I didn't want to interrupt you. That's the gloves, and then later, later he gets a pipe, that he tells them that that is to knock out the demons. So he starts using that, like if he can get that way, he can get him back to the shed or wherever he's going to kill them. But the gloves are kind of one weapon. He said he was going to get 3. He gets Otis, the axe, the gloves, and then the pipe. So yes, it takes me like 3 times watching it to pick up on that, but I didn't want to.
He did say the gloves were mostly just for his protection.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
when he touched them, he'd seizure up.
Yeah, that's it. And because he actually didn't even know if they were really, what's it called, demons in quotation marks, because he was wearing the gloves. But it wasn't until he's already bounded and in their cellar or in their house that he figures out, oh yeah, I'm gonna touch him now, and he goes through all this little seizure kind of thing.
Yeah. And they never say how he got they never show him getting the pipe, but like they make a big deal out of the axe and the gloves with the light shining on them. But they never really come out and say, he just shows up with the pipe, You know what? Like,
now that you said that, in my head I'm thinking maybe a pipe hit him in the head when he was getting the list, and it was the sword.
Yeah, see, you never know with him. You never know with Dad.
Right from the car.
Yeah, it's the muffler.
Dude doesn't even ever say his own name, so he's just.
Yeah. So Fenton eventually decides to tell the sheriff, and sheriff doesn't believe him because who is gonna be killing people? I think the sheriff knows the family, right?
Yes.
So he doesn't believe him. Yeah, he doesn't believe him. So he goes out to check, and of course, Bill Paxton's character Papa Meeks, he's real like, I don't know what he's talking about. He's able to fool him, but the sheriff being thorough, he said, well, it doesn't hurt to go check the cellar, right? So I don't remember if there is somebody there or something is happening in the cellar, and the sheriff doesn't see it. But when he's about to leave, he gets an axe to the chest, and Fenton gets in trouble because he goes, "You made me kill a person. That was not a demon. You made me kill a person. And
right.
We're supposed to destroy demons, not people." And I believe this is where he punishes them by locking them in the cellar, right?
Yeah, he locks him in there, and he locked him in for like a week. But he tells him when he came back to him, I think it'd been like 7 days. He said, "There's no God," and after that, he kind of loses track of like how long he's been in there and everything. And he's obviously punishing him or trying to get him to see it his way.
Mm-hmm. And eventually he breaks down. It's this kind of thing where you get brainwashed. Or I don't know if he breaks down or he just starts saying it, but he just starts telling his dad, I saw God, I believe.
Yeah.
At the end. And I kind of skip over something real quick, is that during this time when they're killing people, they're actually burying the bodies in a rose garden. And this is a rose garden that they pass coming home from school. So, they're starting to build their little grave there in that rose garden.
Right.
Yeah, right next door. He even says like his house used to be where like the groundskeeper of the rose garden lived.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's called Thurmond Rose Garden, but they show it a lot, like them walking through it and all of that. So it becomes like sort of this dark place. You know what I mean? Because they're burying the bodies there. He even tells the sheriff, when he gets him, he's like, I can show you. I can show you where these bodies are. Yeah.
So now Fenton is telling his dad that he believes him. His dad says, okay, well, that's a good thing, right? We get a story that Papa Meeks has been told that Fenton is a demon, and that he's not going to believe, and he's not going to destroy him because it's his son. So that's why he was making him make the cellar, and he locked him in the cellar so he can pray and make sure to try to save him. So now in Papa Mix's head, Fenton is saved. Fenton is no longer going to be a demon. He's good now. So we see another person come in, and he wants Fenton to take the axe, take Otis in his hands, and use it to kill the demon. And we see Fenton look at the axe, and he's about to do it, and then right when he starts to swing the axe, he turns it and hits his dad and kills his dad.
Right in the chest.
Right in the chest, yeah. And
he does the patricide. He's like, I'm done. He's like, boom. He's dead.
As shocking to me, that was a little bit shocking. I kind of saw it coming, but it was still shocking because it is.
Right.
Yeah. But on top of that, we get something else that comes right after that, with Fenton's like, we don't worry, we don't have to do this anymore, we're like that, and all of a sudden we just see Adam pick up the axe and I just kill the guy that they had there, and he's like, what the hell? So we get the story that Adam says that he's been seeing the visions each time his dad touches the people. So Fenton had already been telling him, that it's a lie, it's not true. And when he tells him he's seeing the visions as Adam is as his dad is touching the people, Fenton just says to him, you're brainwashed. You want to follow dad. I get it, but you're brainwashed. It's not true. Nothing is real. So anything about this scene you guys want to delve into?
Not specifically. I mean, it's very much as you explained it. Yeah, he just gets the visions at the same time as his dad touches it, and Fenton doesn't get them. That's the big sort of thing you have to take from it. Yeah.
Interestingly, I find Fenton ends up killing the dad, and the mother, the way she died, supposedly was giving birth to Adam.
Mm-hmm.
So
they both killed their respective.
They both, yeah, and it's not like he killed her on purpose, but I'm just saying, like, if you look at any symbolism in it, it kind of stands out to me. If I were reading it in a novel, I would think, okay, so mom died giving birth to Adam, and then we have the dad killed by Fenton. As you're going through the movie, you're saying dad's killed by Fenton. So, I mean, I don't know. I think there might be some symbolism there. And also, I'm not sure, like, the setting is actually Texas. I don't know if you pick up on it, but, like, if you look closely when he goes to the police station, it's got the seal or whatever. So I didn't realize the first time I watched it where this was actually happening.
Seal like the animal? Or just a seal?
Like the state seal for Texas. Yeah. It has like the shape of the state, and you can you just have to kind of surmise it in your own head that's where it's taking place.
Yeah. Do they? I don't remember. I know it takes place in Texas. I just don't remember if that was something that I read or if it was something that actually was said in the movie.
They never said. I don't think they actually ever said it.
Well, there's at the start you see that it's in either Dallas or Houston, the FBI headquarters.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, right behind him is a big map of Texas.
Yeah, that's what I meant by I meant the shape of the state, basically. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like on a map.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, that's. I mean, the first time I totally disregarded where the setting was, and I wondered. But then after I picked up on where it was, some of the things made more sense in the movie. If that makes sense to you, it just kind of like that's a way of thinking there.
It's one of the little things that they put into the movie, especially in the beginning, where you don't really understand why it's there or what's going on there, but it's meant to all kind of tie in together at the end. first, I like I said, this scene here is awesome. I love it. It's very, I don't know if I would classify this movie as much as a horror movie, as much as like a suspense serial killer kind of movie. But there is a type of horror when it comes to having to kill your own family, and then see your family kill. To me, there's not a very straight line or what is it, where the horror part comes in. Some people like to say that horror is a certain thing. I like to say horror is basically what you feel it should be,
Yeah.
I think it's a general tension throughout the movie, and just the ambiance of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't call this a horror movie. I'd say this is more a detective mystery kind of thing.
The way that it is classified is an American psychological thriller.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the horror in it is the fact that the Daddy Meeks or whatever his name is, gets this list, and the way they go about killing, killing off the supposed demons. I think that's where the element of horror comes in. How easily, this is carried out. It's a serial killer thing, but also you're going down the list, and who's going to be seventh on that list of names.
Yeah.
And that kind of, it's thriller and suspense and definitely mystery, but the horror element, what to me was the acts and the way they were a family that was killing.
Yeah.
Or the horror could be how close it is to actual real life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is that they did such a good job, like I said earlier, in portraying the family as a unit, that just to see all this happening within them, and especially with one of them kind of seeing the horror of his father killing people, his brother believing his father's madness, and then having to kill your own father, and then seeing your brother kill someone else. It's like it all, to me, that's where the horror part comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, everyone has their own different kind of definition of what belongs in horror and what belongs in something else. But at this point, the story ends with the Adam telling him that he sees all this, and we go back to the present with Matthew McConaughey's character, Fenton, talking to the FBI agent, I believe it's Agent Doyle, and he's kind of telling him, so now my brother continued to kill these people in the same way that my father did, and he basically is saying he never said anything because it's his brother, but now that his brother has died, and he was going to go, and this is actually something we see, he's going to bury him in the same rose garden where all those bodies are that he killed are. So he's taking the FBI agent to the rose garden where he was going to bury his brother, so that he can find all these bodies. And we're getting closer to the revelation of what's happening here, but we see something, and well, actually, no. Before that, Fenton is talking to the captain, and he slips and makes a mistake. He actually says that. How does he say it? Do you all remember how he says what he says, that he makes a mistake in the name? Let me see.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, it's because remember when they're kids, Fenton turns to Adam and says, he goes, if you ever kill me, I need you to promise me you're going to bury me here in the rose garden.
Exactly.
So now that Adam is dead and Fenton is saying, I'm going to bury my brother in the rose garden, the FBI agent turns to him and says, wait, if you're going to bury him in the garden, that means you're Adam. You know, and I don't think he doesn't say it, but we all kind of come to the conclusion that Matthew McConaughey was Adam all along, and he's actually the serial killer, and Fenton was the one that was dead in the beginning of the movie.
Exactly.
So
that's like a huge flip and a huge turn in the movie because, I mean, you're not expecting it.
Yeah, and this is where Adam. Now I'm getting confused now because we have to go back to the regular.
But like he calls himself Fenton the whole time, but really it's Adam.
Yeah. Well, it's because I was pretty sure it was because he's telling the story that. So he touches the FBI agent, and we see this scene of the FBI agent killing his mother. Did they say why he kills his mother? Kind of just does it, right? He
just did. He did, and he knows he's a demon because he's touched him. And this is when you start thinking, is there a supernatural aspect to this movie?
Yeah, so
it doesn't really hit you to the end, but
the what's it called? The twist of Matthew McConaughey being Adam and not Fenton is one twist.
Right.
But actually him touching him and seeing the FBI agents killing his mother.
Yep.
We start getting an explanation that each time that Papa Meeks touched the people, we see a vision of what those people were doing. That first lady had killed somebody that was laying in bed with her.
Yeah, I think she like cut their throat or something. Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The old man was I'm not sure. I don't know if they implied he was like a child molester, but he was a child killer.
Pedophile. Yeah. Pedophile killer. Yeah.
And so we end up seeing that it was true. Everything that happened, and this is where I think there's some divisiveness here, and there's some where people say one thing, and other people about this movie we're now meant to believe that the visions were true, the killings were done because these people were evil or they were demons.
They were justified.
And we'll put them in that word in quotation marks.
Yeah, definitely.
And that Adam is actually a killer who is going around killing bad people. However, there is also another side of this, and you can always say that Adam is just as crazy as his dad and his brother, because his brother turned out to be his brother did turn out to be a serial killer.
And he killed and was killed because he was a demon, supposedly.
Yeah. So now, are we to believe that this is all supernatural or what's it called, from a divine source, this power he has, whatever? Or are we to believe that they're all just crazy, the whole family is crazy, and they just took a different way to actually killing people? So I've heard those two different theories on that ending.
That's the huge question throughout the whole thing. Are they crazy, or is this really coming from a god or from an angel? Like, do they really have a supernatural connection to know who's bad, or are they all just crazy? It's the biggest thing.
And we're I mean, the way the movie plays it seems to say that it is something that was real in at least in the Adam and his dad's eyes, that it is something that they really did receive. But I don't think we have to just take it in that certain, in that way. We can we as an audience can always take it. Well, is that really the case, or is this he just that he believes that what his father told him?
It's from one point of view, so you can't take it on that.
Exactly, Nick. And there's so much foreshadowing, with when he meets the FBI agent Doyle, and he sees the picture of the mother's on the desk, and he asks him about it. There's a lot of foreshadowing that goes on throughout the whole movie, but really, instead of helping you confirm it, it makes you question.
Yeah, at the beginning, what I was saying at the beginning is he's looking at that picture and he has it in his hands, and when the FBI agent goes to shake his hand, instead of shaking his hand, he gives him the picture so he won't touch him. because he's not supposed to touch him.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
Yeah. I think he's crazy. I think they're all crazy.
He thinks he's crazy. You're gonna watch it again, and you're gonna be like, wait a minute.
Oh, I know. I've seen it twice now.
I know. I've seen it so many times, then I go back and forth and back and forth.
I see myself doing this. I know both theories, and I kind of was, the first time I saw it, I wasn't like, whoa, he was right all along, whatever. The second time I watched it, I was like, wait, no.
I know.
But then right now, actually, what I see myself doing is I actually end up at the end of the movie, each time I see it, is depending on who I'm seeing it with, I feel like I get a different feeling of what it is, and I'll let the person that I'm watching it with for the first time, because I like showing this movie to people, to the people who've never watched it, and I like to kind of just see what they believe is the case, and I don't necessarily try to disprove them because I don't know. And I believe that's what the fun of this movie is, and I say fun in quotation marks because it is a bad thing they're doing, but it's a movie. It's not necessarily real life, but I can see, like when I was telling you earlier about that review that I had seen a couple of years ago of this Christian guy that was reviewing the movie. He's like, I thought I was not gonna like this because at the end it's kind of showing that there is a quote unquote righteous kill,
right?
But because he hadn't seen the movie, he was already having a preconception of what he was gonna think. But after he saw the movie, he kind of said that it was kind of the same thing that I was saying, and that he doesn't know. He can't figure it out if he's supposed to believe that it's a righteous kill or if it is a just a figment of everyone's imagination and the family is just all screwed up, even though we all believe that it was a normal American family that was living together.
Right.
Yeah. I think at the point where they started killing, that's where they lost it for me. Like, there's no righteous killing, that doesn't exist.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing is, and like, there is no righteous killing, but we are seeing it at this point. We're seeing it from that particular character's point of view, and for him, it is a righteous kill. But for us, as a as an audience, we don't see it that way. I think for the most part.
Right.
And that's another aspect that I believe why it is considered horror, because people like this do live. People like this are around us, and we never know exactly who.
I have a list.
Yeah. All of a sudden you just hear, oh crap. And I mean, we never know why someone's going to do something and what causes someone to do something, and all of a sudden it can be your neighbor, it can be someone you live with, it can be somebody really close to you, and I believe that is a horror a part of this movie.
Yep, absolutely.
So I'm going to ask you for your thoughts on the movie in a total. And I'm going to ask Nick, because I know Nick has a little bit of a...
Yeah, I know. I'm very interested to hear Nick's side.
I didn't think it was the worst movie. Let's just start with that. Like, the acting except in this movie is fine, except for Bill Paxton, because I don't really like him. He overacts everything. I don't think he is, like, in those kind of roles, he is just, any good. He could probably do a very good douchebag character in something.
True.
Yeah, I think...
Game over, man. He was producing that.
Yeah, exactly. And he was great. The kids are amazing. Child actors are really hard to have, like, decent child actors in the movie, so those kids were amazing. Powers Booth, always amazing. The guy just has a face like he should be on TV all the time.
Yeah.
I think the overall idea of the movie is pretty normal for, like, this type of movie. I don't think the twist was that, amazing, because as soon as what's his name? Little Adam picked up the axe and went, "Rah!" I knew that it was so-called Fenton in the thing that was really Adam. I just knew it because there was something off about him from the start. The way he talked, the way he acted, the way he sort of replied to some of the answers. You know what you said about the picture and kept asking about the picture. There was something off about old Fenton.
Right.
And as soon as Adam picked up the axe, I knew it. I was like, bam, that's really him. And that's the guy who's been killing everyone. And the movie completely lost me. Like, where I went like, oh my god, this is the worst movie. Where he is all super happy in the end being the town sheriff. You know, happy ever after.
I think... I will say, though, I think the reason that was shown, first, the FBI guy who comes to tell him about his brother, when he shakes his hand, he tells him he's a good man. It gives you the thought of, okay, he's touching him and he's saying he's not a demon, that he's a good man. So you're thinking, does he have this sight?
Yeah.
It's just quite thought-provoking.
And we also, and something I left out is that when they were looking into what happened with the FBI agent, we get this videotape of him, Adam being in the FBI headquarters, and the video just kind of starts getting staticky right around his face, so you can't see it. So
that's the supernatural aspect of it. Yeah, you're like, how did he do that? Plus, the guy who met him couldn't remember his face or anything. He said he drew a blank.
He said, I saw him straight on. I talked to him, but I can't remember what he looked like.
I can't remember what he looked like, yeah.
And the worst thing I have with this ending is, like, it sort of says, like, hey, there is such a thing as a, rightful killings on a mission from God. Because there's been so many people who have actually done this in real life, like the son of Sam and what is it, the Sunday morning slasher.
Yes, I think that's the horror part to it to me is, regardless of which angle you take, it's
realism.
Killing.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
the scary part.
That's why I've always said that something more like even like Hannibal Lecter. I think that's a little bit more scary than Freddy Krueger or Jason or anything like that, because it's a little bit more real as far as it's just a regular person who is just crazy and just wants to kill people. And he's got his own reasons and all that, but the human aspect of horror movies are a lot scarier than the supernatural aspects of a movie or evil demonic creatures that come back.
Oh, and they dropped a lot of stuff in there. I don't know when Adam was, well, he's Fenton in the story, but when he was digging the hole, in the backyard, they show his hands being bloody, and I know a lot of reading I've done about the movie that people say, was that a sign of stigmata? So if you're thinking of that and you're thinking of different symbolism that they keep showing, whether or not it's a supernatural thing or not, I think it's just, it puts it in your head that they may have thought that they may have been seeing them as signs and they're just crazy.
There is blood right in the middle of his palm, though.
Yes. Yep.
So yeah, it does very much look like I've had bloody hands from labor.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, that's not where the blood will come from.
I know, and I was like, that is really weird. Are they trying to show it as that? Because then after I had read about it and then I went back and watched it, I was like, oh weird. Because the way he's holding it and digging and there's a few things. Like they use the name Curtis 2 times. I don't know if you picked that up. Like they call this little pet they had in the jar, it's a bug of some sort, maybe a spider.
Curtis.
They called it Curtis, and then later at the police station you hear the lady say, "See you later, Curtis," or "Bye, Curtis." And it's like, why does this name Curtis keep coming up? And there's just little things that you don't pick up the first time you watch it that make you wonder later on, what is the meaning, They definitely keep you on your toes thinking about it.
There's secretly a ghost on the set.
Right.
So, Nick told me he didn't like the movie. Shell, you told me you liked the movie. I liked the movie. I did a poll that not a lot of people replied to. I should have probably done this way when I first thought I was gonna thought of this doing the review. But we got 33 votes.
That's good.
33% loved it. 3%, which I'm thinking this is Nick, say they hated it.
Hated it, yeah.
18% people have never seen it. 45% of the people have never heard of it.
I think it's one of the most underrated movies as far as content. If you like these kind of movies, definitely. It was up for a lot of like obscure awards and stuff, but nothing huge.
It's probably a very successful indie movie.
It is,
like indie horror festivals. This thing will work.
The budget of this movie was $11 million. The box office was 17.4.
Wow.
So it earned its money back and a little bit more.
Pretty high budget for this film.
Probably because of Bill Paxton.
I think the Archangel scene was like at least $2 million of that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, at the FBI.
Yeah, and McConaughey's most of the budget there too. A lot of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe like often even the bigger actors do these kinds of movies for like little to no money.
Yeah.
Especially back then, or not. That's not that long ago.
Yeah, McConaughey's done some really, really great films that are like Mud. Mud like
is.
Just some movies that you wouldn't think he would do that he's just amazing at.
I would love to see Matthew McConaughey in more horror movies.
Me too, actually. Yeah.
I mean, his first movie was a horror movie, and it wasn't great, but it got released.
In any kind of movie, he's great.
Yeah. But what's it called? That movie, which was Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The New Generation, that didn't come out till years later, and it had what's her name, Renee Zellweger in it as well.
Oh yeah.
And she, I think her people actually fought to get this movie not to be released. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So.
Yeah, but then it did, yeah.
Yeah, and it did, and they're the two names that come out on it, on the titles and all that, because by the time it came out, they were already bigger names.
Yeah, she probably had Bridget Jones and wanted to, keep that image.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, final things about Frailty.
No. It's fine for what it is. I don't like this movie that much. I wouldn't watch it again.
And I have the opposite opinion, and I think every time you watch it, you'll see something different. And it's actually, for me, in its genre, one of my highest rated movies. I rate it probably about the same as IMDb, maybe slightly higher, just because of all the symbolism and the questions in it, and it makes you think. I like thought-provoking movies, so that's the reason I like it. But I also like Nick's point of view because it helps me see some of the stuff, a whole different side of it. I'm like you saw,
Definitely.
like depending on who I'm watching it with or talking about it with, I'm going to think different things and see different things. And now when I watch it, I'm going to see some of the stuff Nick said. And so I think that it's really great to have different perspectives on it. Or perspectives, I should say. I love that.
So yeah, as far as for me, like I said, I love the movie. It's not a movie that I go around watching all the time.
I watch it every year, like 3 times. It's weird.
Yeah, but when I hear someone, like, I've never seen the movie, I've never heard of it, I'm like, what? And I go, you have to watch it.
Yep.
Or like just yesterday at work, someone at work was like, all of a sudden, all right.
That's hilarious.
I started laughing, and I'm like, I just rewatched Frailty, and they're like, what movie is that? I'm like, what? You haven't seen Frailty? And then I asked one of the other coworkers there, he goes, have you seen Frailty? And she was like, yes, I love it. And she said the same thing. Because you have to watch that movie a couple of times because every single time you see it is something different.
I've actually just this week, because we talked about doing this, got like 3 or 4 different people to watch it, and they obviously everybody has different opinions on it. And then a couple people that took your poll that I reposted messaged me and said, I love that movie. And then I was kind of watching the poll numbers, so people had either never seen it or they really liked it. And at least it's polarizing. So I think a few people were going to watch it, which is, I'm interested to see what they think about it.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't too surprised that most of like I said, it wasn't a lot of votes, but 45% of the people who voted said that they'd never heard of it. And I was kind of expecting that. I don't know why. That's what I was expecting, but.
I mean, if you ask them if they've seen Saw or like the Saw series, most people have seen it because it was bigger box office, and it's got multiple movies. And like you said, this is a smaller film, more obscure. I always recommend it, but I always recommend The Shining too. So it's like
the TV show or the movie.
The movie.
Which is funny because the TV show. I love the TV show, but mostly because it's a little bit more accurate to the book. But
I watch it completely differently. I think it's the guy from Wings with Olive.
Olive. Oh, by the way.
And I just imagine that it's those characters doing that. Then it just becomes a really funny movie.
By the way,
that is funny.
What's her name? What's her name's real name?
Oh shoot!
From the original Shining. Shelley Duvall.
Shelley.
She lives around the area too, where I live. The company I work for, it's called Texas Timber Frames, and we do frames for houses, like just old school timber. And they were telling me a couple of years ago they actually did her house, and that they met her, and that she's batshit crazy.
Oh, wait!
That movie would have made me crazy.
Yes, it's a little bit of a sponsorship, guys.
Sponsored by.
Actually, not sponsored by. They're not going to give me any money.
No.
Well, they already do, but that's because
True.
True. That is true. So yes, hashtag sponsored. I don't want to get in trouble for this.
Yeah. Edit.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So she's batshit crazy.
Yeah, watch it or don't watch it.
I say watch it. If you want a movie that is I say it's great. I know it might not be great to everybody, but I say it's great. I say watch it.
I do too. I absolutely say watch it. Watch it with an open mind, and you're going to go one direction or the other.
Watch it with more than one person as well. Don't watch it by yourself.
Exactly.
Horror movies are always better watching it with other people.
Absolutely.
So, do we have any consensus on what other movie we want to be doing? Or let's do it first this way.
No, I have a question for you. Well, I probably can ask you offline. Just horror movies or horror shows as well?
Oh, shows as well.
Shows as well.
Guys, The Exorcist is killing it.
I've heard that, but I haven't seen it. I know a friend of mine who's very much into horror as well. He's telling me like the first 2 episodes were just like on point, just very good.
Oh my gosh, last night was the 3rd episode. I'm just letting you guys know, like, you need to watch it.
I started watching it twice, the first episode, but I keep getting busy, and I'm like, I need to get back to watching it.
Yes,
but I have heard that it's pretty good.
But Supernatural just started again, and The Strain is still going on.
See,
there's so many.
When it comes to the TV shows, it's real hard for me to get into the TV shows. Not because I don't like them, but because time. Movies I can just watch 1 or 2 hours and then you're done, unless it's a series.
There's a new Ouija movie coming out, or Ouija. Am I saying that right? Ouija. It's a new one that they say is going to be very, very scary, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It's not out yet.
Is it a part 2? Is it the one that came out?
It is, but I think it's done by the people who did The Conjuring. So I'm not.
Okay.
Oh, I don't like.
I don't think it's the same people.
Nick doesn't like the shock horror movies, but I don't see Conjuring being shock horror. I don't know.
No, I thought there was some scary stuff in The Conjuring, but like I'm like you, like the real stuff that could happen scares me way more.
I just like movies with a lot of tension throughout the entire movie. Mm-hmm. I've mentioned this movie before, I think even on the podcast, but have you ever seen The Witch?
Oh yes,
I haven't seen it yet. I know you told me. I think it was supposed to be like our second episode, but we just got.
Yeah. But you didn't want to watch it.
No.
It's gonna. No, it wasn't that I wanted. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
I think.
But that's the kind of movie that I like. It's sort of built slowly, and it just keeps building and building until like this explosive conclusion in the end.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah, Nick, that's one of my favorite scary movies too.
Yeah, and it's very recent, which like. Most nowadays, it's mostly just those, shock horror movies and those paranormal activities horror.
Yeah,
things.
I'm like, that stuff doesn't scare me.
No.
Yeah, I think I've seen.
It scares me with jump scares, but I don't. Yeah, it doesn't interest me.
I saw the first Paranormal Activity barely, like 2 years after it came out, and then I never watched anyone after that.
Kind of like Blair Witch, that made me motion sick to watch, but the first Blair Witch, I was motion sick the entire movie.
I love the Blair Witch.
I know, I loved it, but I get motion sick, so I'm like,
do you really want to watch it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen the sequel? Well, the third, I guess the second sequel.
No, I haven't seen it yet. It's a remake.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not. It's not a remake. It's the younger sister or younger brother of one of the three people from the original movie.
Oh, really?
Who all of a sudden kind of comes upon this video that shows that they might not be dead. So they go out to investigate, and so it's more of a direct sequel than the actual sequel that came out.
Oh. Yeah, absolutely.
I remember when watching the original, like the Blair Witch. I watched it with my friends in the movie theater.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. And I was...
And that was in a time where not even everyone had the internet, because I'm very old.
Yep. No, I'm very old.
So, I didn't even know, like, it was, like, everywhere told that it was real. At the end, of course, you figure out it's not. By the way, it isn't real. The Blair Witch Project is a movie. It's not a documentary.
Well, not only that they hammer us in that it really happened, they had a website dedicated to trick you into thinking that it was real. So even if you had internet and you ended up on this website, it was strictly made to make you believe it was a real thing.
And it kind of started the fake-umentary thing, the fake documentary whole.
Well, the horror version.
Horror thing,
yeah. Because, I mean, mockumentaries, that's what they're called. They've been around. They've been around since forever. Like, This Is Spinal Tap is like one of the oldest ones I know.
Oh, that's true, yeah. That one, yeah.
Yeah, and there's plenty of them. There's even a TV show of those now. But yeah, the original movie, we saw it in the theaters, me and a group of friends. We were all teenagers back then. I was still young and full of energy. So we sat there in the movie theater, very dark.
We must be the same age.
Well, probably. Packed theater, everyone's in there, and, like, all of a sudden you see, like, the witch in the end, the big reveal and the, sneaking up on the camera, like the jump scare. Because there's basically only one real jump scare in that.
Yeah.
And we just heard the entire back row, like, just all yell, like, ah! Like, super loud.
Have you seen the film theory video on the Blair Witch?
I can't remember.
I don't think I have.
Okay, I'll link it, and I'll send you the link. It pretty much, it's not gonna spoil the video itself, but it's the whole theory that the Blair Witch was actually plan from the two guys to kill the girl.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So
not that that's cool, but I mean
the theory itself.
right, the theory itself. I'm sorry. Yeah, I sound like psycho.
No, I know what you mean. Those kind of
but
theories
I like
are always
like
nice.
Yeah, I love reading. That's why I like different opinions. I like hearing all the theories that people have behind some of these. And Stephen King, most of his books came from nightmares and dreams that he had.
Yeah.
So,
or even like It. He says that it's kind of based on a couple of things.
Yep.
I think part of it is John Wayne Gacy. Or was it
Absolutely.
before or after?
It was after.
Okay.
But I mean, the new It is coming out.
Yeah.
So,
I really, really hope that kills. I really hope it does. I've been waiting for that movie for so long. Remake. Because
look,
I
the
think
whole clown thing that's going on is scaring me to death.
I think it's I don't know if it's a political thing. A political.
I think
not
it
a political.
could be, actually.
Well, I was actually I think I was a Freudian slip. I didn't mean political. I meant what's it called?
Viral marketing.
There you go. But
viral marketing. That's exactly, Nick.
But in my head I did a Freudian slip and I said political.
We all do that lately. It's weird because I knew what you meant. Yeah,
but
be glad you're in the Netherlands, Nick.
Yeah. Well, no, they're spreading to Europe now.
Yeah, well, I know about it, but our elections are like a bit further away.
No, I mean the clowns are.
They're not.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I was making a political
like
joke.
in the next town over.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole scary clown thing, like, that's not cool. That's so not cool because it's one of the scariest. It scares me. We actually have sewer drains here, like in some areas, and I'm just like, that's not okay on Halloween night.
Oh, yeah, we don't have those.
But the point of why I brought up it is because I read somewhere where he says that I think he got a little bit from the John Wayne Gacy thing, but he said he was walking over this crickety. I don't know if it was a deck or a bridge. And it reminded him of the troll,
I think it was a bridge, yeah.
Yeah, and he goes, where would it be if there's something living under here that not only just attacked kids, but it really just got to you at your worst fears and it went after
exactly.
You really. And it fed off your fear, not only so it's kind of like the troll underneath the bridge.
He's
John
so
Wayne
good
Gracie.
at that.
And so he and even I don't know if you ever watched Cell. We watched
yes.
Nick and I actually have a lost episode of Nerds from the Crypt for Cell but we didn't put it out because we did you like it? We didn't like it. We didn't like it. And not only that, it was kind of like each time we tried to record it, something was happening with connection. So it was like it wasn't meant to be for us to send that out into the podcast world.
I would absolutely. The Witch would be a good one. If you see it, you watch it. I watch it again.
Like I said, we were supposed to do The Witch, and then Cell came out, and we wanted to do that. We recorded that, and then. And then I told Nick, well, Nick, we're called Nerds from the Crypt. We should probably do a Tales from the Crypt movie. So we did that.
Right.
We did that one. So yeah. I want to, like I said, just real quick here. Is there any movies that you're looking forward to seeing the next couple of days, couple of weeks, other than The Witch again?
Let's see.
I'm rewatching some of The Strain because I was reading on the internet that there's a lot of things in the new season that are like callbacks to the first two seasons. So now I'm sort of going back to the first two seasons. It's like very cool. Like this one guy says like, oh yeah, this guy that I stole this sword from, I chopped him up and dumped his body in the North Sea. And then sort of in season 1 he says that, and in season 3 you actually see the story where he finds the guy and chops him up and dumps him into the North Sea. So it's very like those season long sort of callbacks are really awesome. So there's this small list. that I'm following. Just
As far as upcoming movies that are coming out or that have just come out, the Origin of Evil Ouija movie, The Boy, that was interesting. I think The Conjuring 2 is coming out, and Don't Breathe. I don't know if you've seen that, but I've seen it.
I haven't seen it, but I know I want to watch it.
Yeah, Don't Breathe. I saw it in the theater. I actually talked my husband to take me to see it. He doesn't watch horror movies, and it's okay. You know, I'm gonna say
I think
it's
it should be on direct
VOD?
internet. Yeah, video on demand. Yeah, we have a different system here, but yeah.
It actually did great on IMDb if you check it out. For it being like a crime film and a thriller, it did well.
Yeah, and it's made by the guys that made the Evil Dead movie, like the remake or the
Alvarez or who was that? Yeah,
I can't remember who it is.
I can't remember who.
I just know it's the same people.
So,
yeah, but it was like a $10 million budget movie that made like $140 million. So
yeah.
So, movie that I just recently watched, and I actually had told Shell about it, and I think I told Nick about it, was Clown.
yeah,
It is, it's not a great movie, but it's one of those bad movies that I like. It's actually a bit creepier than I thought it was going to be, and actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. But it's not a great movie at all either. It's not a good movie. It's just a bad movie that is enjoyable to watch. So I would recommend someone who has time, just some time. I wouldn't say go out there and look for it. If you have it available, I say watch it, and you have the time to watch it. I'll be watching The Witch for the next episode.
yes,
Not exactly
I will
sure.
definitely.
Not exactly sure how the release time for these episodes are going to be, but as we make time, we'll be recording them. And also, I have another series that I'm planning to be making. And once again, it's not going to be a regular kind of series, but it's still horror movie related, but it's more looking into the real stories based on that some movies are based on.
Like true crime stuff, or
just as a preview, the Chucky doll. It's
I love that. Yeah,
it's actually based on a real doll. Whether you believe in what they say it's actually doing or anything is another thing. But I'm going to be looking into that story and then going over a movie that is based on that certain.
You got me looking into that whole story now. I've been like watching and reading about it.
I look forward and look for that in the future. It's not going to be too long. I think they're going to be like 8-10 minute videos and stuff like that at the most.
Cool.
So and actually I'm going to have to make a video that's actually related to Frailty. So later on in the future, and I'll bring it back to this episode. Okay, guys. I'd say we go ahead and leave it there. Shell, where can people contact you if on Twitter or?
On Twitter, it's at TVGAL, TVGAL 87, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I mostly just use that, and then I mostly just use Twitter.
Nick?
At SickMindNick.
And you can find me.
I'm always there. No.
And you can find me on Twitter and the various social media sites, Facebook and even Snapchat, Instagram, at Perspective. I don't really use much of the other ones other than Facebook and on Twitter, but at Perspective, all our Twitter handles will be on the screen or on the title and the text of the episode. Let us know what you think of this episode. Let us know what we can do to improve the episode itself. Remember to subscribe and keep downloading and watching the videos to help us out here.
So you have a Snapchat?
I have a Snapchat that gets used like maybe once every 2 months or something like that.
Is it like pictures of you turning into a dog?
No.
That's what kids do these days, right? They change into dogs.
That's the real horror.
That is the real horror.
It's like an American Werewolf in London, except you
Oh
turn
my
into
gosh,
like
I love
a
that movie.
Dalmatian.
It's a little puppy.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we'll leave it there. We'll see you guys next time with The Witch.
It was great talking to you guys.
See ya.
See you
Thank
guys.
you so much.